Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome to a Tuesday here with the Morning Hookup. It is Elijah Herbal. And sitting in with me right now, one Jeff Moats back from vacation. Moatsy, good to have you in here.
There we are. There. Yeah, fresh off a quick getaway. Went down to Dallas Fort Worth on Friday and came back Sunday. Took yesterday off. Here I am, and somehow I developed maybe a little bit of a frog in my throat, and so it's been kind of a rough go for me this morning, to say the least. But yeah, I'm glad to be back.
It's good to have you back. My foray into news was it's
Yeah.
always fun, but I'm always whenever you're back, I'm like, all right, thank goodness that's Jeff Moats' show.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and for people that really don't realize what truly happens behind the scenes, and especially when there's vacation time for a lot of people, is that you have to pick up slack, and you do that a lot. And with you going to be gone here in a couple of days, I'll be doing the same thing, and we're all going to be doing. And then you got Big Ten Media Days coming up at the end of the month. So you and Schmidt are going to be out in Chicago, and that's
maybe. Might just be Schmidt out in Chicago. We're going to figure that out.
Okay. Well, regardless, you're going to be busy with that, either here or there, wherever you're going to be at. And so, this time of the year, this is for people that, perfect time to go take vacation, get time off, and we have to help each other out. So that's what we got to do. And it's July. We'll do it into August, and then once the school year gets going here toward the middle part of August and latter part of August, when football really starts to kick into high gear, and then everybody should be back and ready to go full steam.
Well, Moatsy, as we get things kicked off, you get a chance to watch the home run derby last night.
I did not. I caught a little bit of the highlights. I actually kind of crashed early last night and fell asleep and then woke up, and by the time I got through everything else as far as seeing what was going on with the home run derby, it was pretty much over with, and woke up and saw the highlights and then went to bed. But I can't believe that was the first St. Louis Cardinals player to ever win the home run derby. That just blows my mind. Now think about it. You've had over the years Mark McGwire, Albert Pujols, to name a few that were power hitters. And then you go back even further. Keith Hernandez was there in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, was a great power hitter. So many other great players that they've had over time that went into the home run derby and never won it. So it just is kind of staggering to think about that. This is their first ever home run derby champion, and Kyle Schwarber. We've seen what he can do not only in Chicago but what he's been doing for the Philadelphia Phillies, and trying to win it before the hometown crowd last night, and coming up short. But what a great start! We're halfway through the baseball season at this point, which is hard to believe with the majors. And, of course, locally tomorrow night,
Lincoln Salt Dogs, we got the All-Star game.
We got the American Association Baseball All-Star game at Haymarket Park, which we'll have here on KFOR. We'll have coverage beginning at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Rich Ray will bring you the play-by-play. 3 Salt Dogs on the West Division roster for the All-Star game. And that should be fun. It's nice to see that there's going to be a lot of festivities beforehand. You got a home run derby of their own that's going to be happening tomorrow before the All-Star game kicks in. And then once we get through that tomorrow night, you got Thursday off, and then it's back to work on Friday for everybody. Salt Dogs will get back at it on Friday as well.
Yeah. Quickly here, Moatsy. And I'm not sure. We might be taking a break here in just a moment. Can you name me the all-time franchise leader for the St. Louis Cardinals in terms of home runs?
I'm going to say Stan Musial.
Yes. 475 career home runs.
Yeah.
Pujols finished with 469. He's in second. And then all the way down in third, 255 for Ken Boyer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a wide
Lou
gap.
Brock.
Pujols finished his career 6 away, at least for the Cardinals. 6 away.
What was Lou Brock? Lou Brock
Lou Brock finished with 129 for the Cardinals. He's 18th on their list.
Okay. All right.
But then to round out the top 5, Jim Edmonds with 241.
Okay.
And Ray Lankford with 228.
Okay.
So that's the Cardinals' all-time leading list in home runs. Last night was Jordan Walker taking the home run derby crown.
And then, of course, when you think of the St. Louis Cardinals, you think of either, at least with me, I think of Bob Gibson, Ozzie Smith, Albert Pujols. McGuire. When I think of Mark McGuire, I think of him with the A's. Him and Canseco being there in the 80s, early 90s when Oakland was really a fun team to watch. But I know McGuire toward the end of his career was with the Cardinals and so forth. But I think of Gibson, Ozzie Smith, Keith Hernandez, Willie McGee, Tommy Herr, Pujols. I'm trying to remember who else, more recently that you can identify the Cardinals with. But those are the ones that stand out to me for sure.
Well, let's take a quick break here. We're going to have Robin Washut come up in hour 1. We got Brian Munson coming up in hour 2, but we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we'll get Robin Washut on the line here on the Morning Hookup.
Okay.
Headache, nausea. Those are the first symptoms of heat exhaustion.
It's pretty hot and humid.
No, it's unrelenting. It's just unpleasantly warm. I don't know what to say.
Don't let the heat and humidity turn you into a sweaty, molten glob of smelly, baked flesh.
It's getting hot in here.
It's hot in hell.
It's hot.
Really, really, really hot.
Stay safe this summer with updates from KFOR.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at Oak Street Carpet.
Oak Street Carpet.
1732 Oak Street, family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay. Are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor, and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between, it really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Equal opportunity, especially in the workforce, is the cornerstone of the American dream. Being employed gives us the confidence to be financially independent. There's real meaning in supporting ourselves and those we care about. We feel respected, useful, even empowered to become leaders. But what if you were one of the 6.5 million people in the U.S. with an intellectual or developmental difference, such as autism? 81% of adults with developmental differences don't even have a paid job, and only about a third of the public believes they're capable of having leadership roles. Now is the time to change that. Join the SunTrust Foundation in supporting Autism Speaks, Best Buddies, and Special Olympics in creating pathways to 1 million employment and leadership opportunities for this talented community by 2025. Together, we can build a broader workforce for the future. Visit deliveringjobs.org to learn more.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Starting the work.
Welcome back into the morning hookup. Elijah Herbal taking you through the show so far today. Gonna have some guests joining us here later in the show as well, but a big guest joining us off the jump here, leading us off. It's Robin Washut from HuskerOnline.com. Robin, good to hear from you. Good to have you in this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Are you keeping your head above water this morning?
Trying my best, Robin. I'll say that. We'll see.
All I could do.
We'll see where the show goes from here. Your guess is as good as mine, but got a little bit to hang out here, and I think I'll be okay. That's what the off season's all about, right? Just figuring it out as you go, especially this month of July. Whenever, all the Husker sports have wrapped up. Football's still around the corner. We're awaiting Big Ten meetings. That's what this is all about. Just figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, one of the best abilities is adaptability. So just being able to go with the punches is a good trait to build up right now.
Robin, one of the sports that is going on right now is NBA Summer League basketball. You have both Rink Mast and Sam Hoiberg in action. And Rink Mast, he's kind of carved himself out a role with that Pacers Summer League squad. I believe leading the team now after that performance yesterday in both points and rebounds. Could be wrong on that. I believe I have that right. And that's not an untalented Pacers roster, but he's really showing out here in Summer League.
Yeah, and there's a reason Indiana liked him. They had him in on a pre-draft workout, so this isn't some thing that just kind of fell into their laps. They identified him fairly early in the pre-draft process, and a lot of that is Fred still has pretty good relationships with the Pacers organization. So if he says, hey, you should check out one of my guys, they're going to check him out, and they did, and liked a lot of what they saw. And Rink, this shouldn't be a surprise, because this is what he's shown many times that he's capable of being that kind of unicorn big that has the passing and the understanding of spacing, and then obviously the most important part, the shooting, to really thrive in an NBA offense. And I think the big thing for him is just his durability. If you go back the last, of the 2 seasons that he played, he started out, with his hair on fire both years. But unfortunately, because of his knees, by the end of it, he was kind of running on fumes a little bit, or at least, playing at a much slower level than he was to start the year. So that's going to be the challenge for him, because what he's doing right now, that's what he looked like when he was going shot for shot with AJ Dubasa, and hitting 7 threes, whatever, in Sioux Falls. And so this is kind of what he's been known to do with these fast starts. But I think the key to his longevity here in the NBA and being able to solidify a spot, even with a two-way deal, is going to just depend on, how much his body, allows him to hold up over the course of an entire season. But can't ask for a much better start for him. And, so far he's taking full advantage of his opportunity and then some.
What do you think the goal is going to be for Rink in terms of the roster making ability in Indianapolis? Is it going to be try to make the roster, two-way contracts, solidify the spot on a G League team? What do you think the goal is for Rink as he makes his way through Summer League? Knowing compared to a lot of guys in the draft, he is a little bit of an older guy, but he is still showing out as we just talked about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to make the roster, and at worst, I think just kind of the next tier down is get a two-way contract where, you have the opportunity to swing back and forth between the big league club and the G League squad. Beyond that, it's kind of an Exhibit 10 deal which is what he has now, where it's kind of like a tryout thing. So it kind of gets your foot in the door, but that's certainly not a long-term goal. So I think, the ultimate is at minimum, try to play your way into a G League spot or a two-way deal. And if that doesn't work, then, the other thing about the Summer League that I think sometimes gets overlooked is it's not just about NBA scouts and personnel and, evaluating them for their league. There are scouts and GMs and executives from pretty much every international power league in the world watching the NBA Summer League. And so that is the other kind of audition that's happening right now, is even if it doesn't work out with the Pacers or, another NBA club, doesn't want to pick him up, there are plenty of other options that are watching what he's doing right now. So at this point, it's not a question of if Rink is going to play next year professionally. It's just a matter of, how big of an opportunity he's going to get. And again, with the way that he started off, as long as he can sustain that, there's no reason why he can't remain in the NBA conversation, if nothing else, in a G League, maybe two-way deal.
It's Robin Wash with us here. And Robin, the other guy in a Summer League format right now, Sam Hoiberg, been coming off the bench for the Suns team. From a shooting point of view, I don't think that's why he's on the team. He hasn't been doing much of it, but he's been trying his best to be a glue guy. What have you made of his performances thus far?
Yeah, typical Sam stuff, where he comes in and, again, you don't just look at his box score. And I would hope that anyone evaluating him, whether it be NBA or other international leagues, are seeing where those numbers are coming from and seeing the impact that, as Nebraska fans, we saw every single night. I saw there was a play where, they're shooting a free throw. The Suns are shooting a free throw and the guy misses and Sam comes charging in, grabs the offensive rebound, kicks it out to one of his teammates for a three-pointer. Like turning a blown free throw opportunity into an open shot from three just with pure hustle and awareness. And that's the kind of stuff that Sam brings to the table, because he's obviously not the biggest. He's obviously not the most athletic, but, he's kind of made a career to this point of playing beyond his measurables and proving people wrong at every step of the way. So, that's kind of what he's shown. Obviously the numbers are not much to look at, but I think if you go beyond the final box scores of these games, you'll see that, when he gets his opportunity, he's making winning plays. And, that's why he's at this level and getting this chance. And, hopefully, whether it's the Suns or somebody else is, understanding the value that he brings, even if the final stats aren't the most flashy compared to other guys.
Robin, as you take a look around NBA's Summer League, there's been some impressive performances. Some other guys based on draft position that you're a little disappointed in. Caleb Wilson for the Bulls has looked absolutely fantastic. Darren Peterson for the Jazz as well. If you were to re-rank the NBA draft, and I know if you're taking Summer League as the gospel, you might be a fool, because we've seen a lot of great Summer Leaguers that don't turn into great NBA players, not a great NBA players that weren't great in their first Summer League. But if you were to re-rank the prospects and redraft things based on what we've seen thus far in Summer League, who you taking number one? Who you taking number two? Does anything change in that top five for you?
Oh, I don't know about that. I watched a little bit of DeBance's debut, and he looked pretty good. Especially in the Summer League, you're only shooting one free throw. And so he only got to the line for 8 or 9 free throws. But if you double that, you're looking at almost 16 to 18 free throws in a game. And so that's pretty impressive for a rookie to be able to, that kind of change the trajectory of a game with just being able to draw fouls and being able to play with that type of physicality. So I think he's doing what you would hope he would do. But like you mentioned, Wilson, I think he's kind of emerging as one of the gems of this draft, not just with his play, but I saw the interview with him after he dropped I don't even know what it was, 30 or something like that in the game, and they were trying to talk to him about his stats. He was like, I don't care, we lost. And I was like, oh, okay. That's I'm not going to compare him to Kobe Bryant or anything, but that's the kind of mentality that I think everybody's looking for, where you get the player that, can stuff the stat sheet, but in the end, all that matters is winning and losing, even in a summer league game that, really no one cares about beyond the players on the court. So, I like him and I like his start. And, if he continues to do what he's doing, you can probably make a strong case that he should have been higher up the draft board.
Yeah, that's probably overreaction, but I'm also right there with you. Caleb Wilson's been a dog thus far. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up being a dude in the NFL. And hey, he's a top 5 pick. He should be, but he has really, really impressed me here over the last week or so with some of his NBA Summer League performances. Robin, to zoom out with the NBA, the LeBron James sweepstakes. Do you care? Do you have a take on where he ends up? I think it's going to be great in the documentary, all these voice memos that teams are going to have to leave him making their pitches to him. But do you have a take on where LeBron James ends up playing his basketball next year?
To your first point, no, I don't care. Because, it is what it is. Is Cleveland still the betting favorite with that one? I saw the initial odds put Cleveland as the heavy favorite. That wouldn't make sense. They kind of put a bow on the career where you go back to the place where it all started for you, and all the emotion and sentimental storylines that would go with that. And he could basically do whatever he wants in Cleveland, which is kind of the big requirement. I don't see a legitimate contender, like the Knicks or somebody like that, going and trying to bring him in just because he changes so much of the dynamic with everything from not only the on-court stuff, but roster management and, playing time and all that stuff. So it's Cleveland makes a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. And if I had to put my money somewhere, I'd probably go with the Cavs.
Yeah, the top 3, Cleveland, Golden State, Miami, and then a very distant 4th based on the odds right now is the Philadelphia 76ers.
There you go. Well, you know what? Maybe they're desperate enough to try to keep up in the East that they might go that route.
Robin, since we last talked, the Michigan Wolverines have made a head coach hire for their basketball team, as Mike Boynton Jr. has been named the head coach of their men's basketball program, replacing Dusty May. What do you make of the hire? What do you make for what that means for the future of the Michigan Wolverines? They'd really turned themselves into a basketball factory over the last couple of years, but now Dusty May is on the way out, and it kind of shakes things up at the top of the Big Ten.
Yeah, it does. And I think just considering the timing of that move, Michigan wasn't left with a lot of options. I think for the here and now, just promoting from within with an interim tag made sense. And, they did give him a 2-year deal, which, I think it works out for both sides because it gives Boynton kind of a longer leash to, really try to make his case to be the guy, but it also doesn't overcommit to him to where, if Michigan does decide they need to make a change, it comes at a relatively minimal cost compared to going full in and giving him a standard, 4 or 5 year deal. So it kind of, in the end, it's kind of a no-brainer move, just considering the position Michigan was put in. But yeah, Dusty May has made quite the splash everywhere he's gone. And, regardless of who they hired, they were going to have pretty big shoes to fill there. I guess the big thing is that, while it put Michigan in a bind as far as finding his replacement, it's further enough in the portal process that a lot of their players didn't really have a lot of options to transfer out, just because most schools' money is already tied up and committed, and roles and the rosters are pretty much set. So that allowed them to retain their roster. They just saw LJ Kason go into the portal, which is notable. But beyond that, really everyone of note says they're coming back. So, this is a big first-year audition, for Boynton if he wants to move on to that second year of his deal. But in the end, I think it's a safe play by Michigan, just considering their circumstances. And it's a nice window of opportunity for Boynton to show that, he's got the chops to take the baton there from May.
And 5 years ago, one of the hot young names in coaching, he felt like he was really building the squad at Oklahoma State. He goes against Cade Cunningham, a top recruiting class. And since then, the career's kind of fizzled. And I'm not sure that Dusty May is akin to the Nick Saban school of coaching, where guys would go, the hot young coaches would go resurrect their career as Nick Saban. I'm not sure that's what it is for Boynton, but we'll see a hell of an opportunity in front of him because, as I mentioned, go back 5-6 years ago, whenever he's getting things off the ground at Oklahoma State, really felt like he was going to be a hot up-and-coming name.
Yeah, and, we've seen it in the Big Ten. Jake Diebler was in a very similar situation at Ohio State where, Thad Matta moved on and they had to find a replacement. They were promoted within, and now he's their guy. And, they're investing in him as the future of Ohio State basketball. So, there's precedent of this happening and working out just fine. But, again, I think Boynton still has a lot to prove just because, again, the shoes he's filling and the bar that's been set at Michigan. Like, they're not going to be happy with just going to the tournament and winning a game or two. This is a team that was the best team in all of college basketball under Dusty May. So that's a tough spot to be in, but, it's, I think, a good opportunity for him.
Robin Washut with us here from HuskerOnline.com on the Morning Hookup. And Robin, with Big Ten Media Days right around the corner, I'm going to switch gears here, talk a little bit of football. And first question I got for you is if you go on Huskers.com and check out the empty seats, or the tickets that are still available for Husker football season, there's still plenty of seats available for a lot of top games. And my question to you being, do you kind of get the feel from Husker fans that they're sitting back and they're looking at the price of whether it's driving or flying from across the country, making it to a Husker game, or even folks from around here that are kind of looking at their bank accounts and going, what do I want to spend my money on? I kind of get the feel that you have folks out there that would rather go out and spend money, say, on a volleyball Final Four run, or go spend money to make the drive up to the Sanford Pentagon to go watch Nebraska against Boise State this year. It does feel like at least the early part of this year might be instrumental for Nebraska because the excitement has waned a little bit, and there's a lot of other sports folks can spend their money on. Did you get the same feel?
Yeah, it's interesting that the tickets are what they are. And I saw somebody sent me a picture of the front page of the World Herald, and the bottom third of the front page is an ad for people to buy season tickets. I don't ever remember Nebraska needing to promote season ticket sales to this extent, which I think is a pretty alarming situation if you're in Nebraska, that the sales are going that slowly that you're having to go to those measures. So things can change quickly. The tickets are going to be bought. There's enough corporate donors out there that'll snatch up the tickets. So that's not the issue. It's just a matter of this being kind of a direct reflection of kind of where the fans' mindset is, where this isn't just a no-brainer, pay whatever the sticker says to get your season tickets. It's a prove-it year in a lot of ways, not just for Matt Rule in this season, but I think just for the trajectory of Nebraska football. And you're to the point now where fans need some return on their investment because they've invested a lot and they've dumped a lot of money into this program for a lot of years and gotten very little to nothing in return. So, again, we'll see kind of what those numbers look like in a month, as we get closer to the season. But I would certainly do a double take at that if I'm Nebraska and figure out, what needs to happen to prevent apathy from really setting in even more. And you're right, those first 5 games are going to be critical to kind of get some enthusiasm and optimism back in Nebraska's side, because if you stumble out of the gates, the sledding is only going to get more difficult for you, and you could have a real dicey situation on your hands come November if things don't go the way that people hope they do.
In terms of the excitement, you talk about the 5-0, which will help, but does it also mean that Nebraska needs to put together some performances, and maybe not in wins, but performances against Indiana and Oregon through mid-October that inspire confidence? Because 5-0 would be great, but there's not really a win in those first 5 games that I think would make a lot of Husker fans turn and say, okay, wow, our preseason thoughts about this team, maybe they were wrong. Maybe this team is better than we expected them to be.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, just go back to just 2 years ago when Nebraska played at Indiana. And, they were, 5-1, something like that. This was supposed to be the big time test, and they got, run off the field. They looked like they didn't even belong in the same game as Indiana. And so that's the type of thing where, it's kind of like the Bo Pelini record, where he won a bunch of games against, bad to mediocre teams and then got destroyed by every good team they played. And so that kind of, I think, created some of the split opinion on Bo Pelini. Despite his wins and losses, there's something to be said for what those final records, the feel around them. And, if you're just stocking up wins against, teams you're supposed to beat, that's great. But, at the same time, if you want to treat yourself as a championship level program, you got to beat championship level teams. And Nebraska's drought against top 25 teams is one of the more damning stats it's facing right now. And, that number could get a lot higher considering the teams that are on the schedule this year. And Nebraska better be ready to rise to the occasion in those games and not just be content with, beating North Dakota and, Ohio to try to scrape 6 wins together. There's definitely a vibe discussion around this that just getting to 6 or 7 wins shouldn't be the bar right now. It should be taking that next step and not just competing against the better teams on your schedule, but beating them, especially those games at home.
Robin Washut with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Robin, as you talk about that top 25 drought, as we start looking ahead to Big Ten Media Days in fall camp, what are the things you're going to be looking for in terms of, I guess, what's your biggest reason for confidence with this team, this roster as it's constructed, that Nebraska can end the top 25 drought this year? What's your biggest reason for pessimism, the biggest reason for doubt that Nebraska won't be able to go out there and end that top 25 drought?
Oh, I mean, I guess optimism is you do have a favorable start, and we've seen years past where, I go back to a few years ago, there was a above average Minnesota team that kind of just found their way to win their first few games, and then they just got hot. They started getting confidence and, started playing a little bit of above their level and ended up winning 10 games that year. And so that's kind of what you hope for, is that, Nebraska kind of figures itself out, is able to get to the hot start that they need to get to. And then all of a sudden, internally, there's a level of belief and optimism or what a confidence that, they can compete against that upper tier of teams that are going to be on their schedule towards the back half of the year. So that's the path. I mean, they need things to click. They need to get off to a start. They need Calandria to be the guy. They need that offensive line to be what they hope it can be. And then from pessimism, well, your running back situation is in flux. Your defensive line is still very much a major question mark. And again, Nebraska has given very little reason to give you much hope against the schedule from, mid-October to late November, that they're going to be able to survive that. So, I think you can talk yourself into either route, but I think that first month of the season is so critical in so many ways. Because I think the only way Nebraska can really make this season better than what people assume it can be is by internally developing that belief with early success, and all of a sudden you're playing at a higher level because you go in to win games expecting to win, where I think so many times they go into those games just hoping to compete.
And if there is a bright side, Robin, is whenever Nebraska's schedule really starts getting difficult in October, well, if things go poorly, you got that exhibition game for Nebraska basketball against BYU, and then kicking off November, the season gets underway for Nebraska basketball. So I think folks can turn their attention quickly. They can pivot if October does go the way some folks are worried about it going.
Yeah, which is nice that you have that, but you'd hope that there's still other things going on at that time of year, football wise, that can take some of the pressure, because like that's the thing. You don't want all the pressure now dumping on Fred. Like they've got a high bar to live up to this year, and so we'll see. Hopefully, both teams can do what people hope they can do and make it another glorious year of Nebraska athletics.
Robin, before we get you out of here, really appreciate your time here this morning. I do need your thoughts. I've made a pretty big deal in my fantasy football league. I know July blockbusters don't happen often, but I have traded my 12th overall pick in the draft, and we are no keeper league, so it's all wide open. The 12th overall pick in my draft, plus rights to use my smoker at the draft in exchange for the number 3 overall pick, really changes my options. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs probably going to be off the board. Bijan Robinson probably going to be off the board, but I've moved up to number 3, so a decision to make there. Do you like the deal, the move that I have made to move up in my fantasy draft?
So wait, all you have to do is let people use your smoker at the draft, and you got to move up to 3?
Just my buddy Patrick, who wanted to use my smoker. I've made that move with him, and now he gets to stack because it's a snake draft, a 12-man league. He gets to stack and go to picks 12 and 13, whereas I get picks 3 and 21 as we snake it around. But that is the deal that has been made. Yes.
Okay, and non-keeper league, you said?
Non-keeper league, so it's all wide open.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
the problem being the top 2 running backs will probably be off the board, which leaves me with decision time. Do I reach for Jonathan Taylor at 3, or do I pick my favorite wide receiver, being probably Puka, Jamar Chase, or Jackson Smith and Jigbo? Those are kind of my choices. I have a decision to make at number 3. It's not the most enviable draft spot, but I do have a lot of options there.
Yeah, well, you got to go running back at the top of the draft. I've always felt that way, because receiver is like the deepest position in fantasy. Like you can get elite receivers in the 3rd round, but the running back drop off is always pretty significant. So that's what I do there. And again, you made a small investment. Like, sure, so he gets to use your smoker and cook you food. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'll take that deal.
So Robin Washut with us here. Robin, is this going to be the year for you yet again in the fantasy league that I know you're in with Hooks every single year? He talks some smack behind the scenes.
Probably not, because so we do this thing. It is a keeper league, dynasty league, and it's one of those things where if you don't kind of sell your future to compete now, you're going to be left in the dust. So I traded away a lot of this year's draft picks to stockpile my roster. I ended up finishing 2nd in the league, which is fine, but I didn't get the trophy. And so now not only am I trophyless, but I have a lot of work to do in trying to maximize value in the, basically 5th round and up to try to stay competitive. But that's where your fantasy chops are put to the test, and I'm ready for it.
Robin Washut with us here, HuskerOnline.com. Robin, really appreciate your time here this morning. What can the folks expect from you here coming up, and where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, we got, more fall camp stuff, previews going on. We got some, we got our show coming up on Wednesday. And then, as always, at Robin Washut on the X machine and HuskerOnline.com message board, Red Sea Scrolls.
Robin, appreciate your time here this morning. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Thank you. There he goes, Robin Washut from HuskerOnline.com, giving us a little bit of extended time here on a Tuesday morning. We're going to step aside, and when we return, looks like one Jeff Moat sitting back down with us in the KFOR Sports Studio. So we'll step aside for a few minutes, and when we return, we'll welcome the Almanac back from vacation, back to the morning hookup.
Voice of the Lincoln Salt Dogs. Join us for the exciting action on Wednesday, July 15th, when Lincoln will host the American Association All-Star Game. First pitch will be at 7:30, and the coverage begins at 7 o'clock on KFOR and online at KFORnow.com.
Join us every Tuesday at Venue Restaurant and Lounge for our prime rib special. Available in a 12-ounce queen cut or 16-ounce king cut. Served with your choice of 2 sides and our house-made au jus and horseradish sauce. Complete your meal with our add-on sauteed mushrooms or caramelized onions. Make your reservation today for Prime Rib Tuesdays at Venue Restaurant and Lounge. Earn rewards on every meal with our Your Venue Reward program for Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Piedmont Bistro. Earn 1 point for every dollar spent and redeem 200 points to receive a $10 reward. Register online and get 100 points instantly. Dine with us and ask your server how to join our program to start earning rewards today. Piedmont Bistro is proud to announce that we are now open with our full menu Sunday nights. Start off with one of our delicious appetizers, follow it up with an incredible chef-crafted entree, and finish your meal with a house-made seasonal dessert. Make your reservation today for Sunday nights at Piedmont Bistro.
In rural America, people are more likely to see cancer as a death sentence than those living in urban or suburban communities. That's according to the latest early detection survey from the Prevent Cancer Foundation. CEO Jody Hoyos explains.
The Prevent Cancer Foundation found that people across the country, including those in rural communities, are skipping routine cancer screenings and doubting the healthcare system. By getting screened and catching cancer early gives you the best chance at a long and healthy future.
Hoyos says closing this healthcare gap starts with education and trust.
Nearly half of the rural respondents said clear and transparent communication from healthcare providers would increase their trust in the healthcare system. Many also expressed interest in more accessible and less invasive screening options such as at-home and self-administered tests. The good news is that there are options available and more coming that can make screening more comfortable and accessible for everyone.
More information about the survey and cancer screenings is available at preventcancer.org/better outcomes.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Is your Biffy iffy?
Is your commode a dragon?
Does your powder room fill you with a powerful gloom?
Do you blush when guests need to flush?
Then put our money where your mortification is.
Enter Handyman's 11th annual Ugly Bathroom Contest.
You got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
Take a snapshot of that outdated, ugly bathroom and tell us all about it.
The ugly bathroom with the most votes receives $3,000.
$1,000 for second. Third place and the best written submissions both get $500.
Enter online at handymanhome.com/contest by July 29th.
Vote online July 31st for your favorite.
No purchase required.
If your vanity's a calamity.
If your lighting's frightening.
Here's your chance to turn an eyesore into a bath you'll adore.
With help from Handyman Home Remodeling Center. For the very best in bathrooms, come to Handyman under the arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
Handyman.
Back at it Wednesday with KFOR, Schmidt, Carol, and Jeff.
The state of the Strait of Hormuz, inflation numbers are out. More on the immigration shooting in Maine, and a family fun pack to the Lancaster County Super Fair with Brainbuster.
Talk at 6 can stream KFORnow.com.
County Super Fair with
It's a hookup even your wife will let you have.
Welcome back into the morning hookup. I kind of forgot how long that drum intro was there. This was what I was waiting for, Mozi.
Well, you know, Alex Van Halen's got to do the drum solo part, and then you got to bring in Alex with the guitar, who, you know, I don't know if you knew this. You know the guitar riff on Beat It?
Oh, yeah.
That's Alex Van Halen,
Yeah.
or Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen.
And then Sugarfoot on the drums on Beat It, I believe. Anyway, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the who's who of musicians of the 80s. On
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah.
But it is, as you hear now, Jeff Moat sitting back down with us here to wrap up hour one of the morning hookup. We said Mozi back from Dallas. And Mozi, dive into how was the trip to Dallas? Was the flight safe, comfortable?
Yeah, you know, I will tell you this: the flight was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of turbulence or anything.
You and I are both bigger gentlemen, so flights I think are usually not all that enjoyable for us.
Well, I sat next to a guy that is 6'3", and I'm 6'6", and I had the window seat.
Oh, so you guys are packed in there like sardines.
Well, and you know, it's a smaller aircraft. Okay, so there's a little less room. And you know, I sat down, and his name's Dalton, and a good guy, a guy who works here in Lincoln, but was from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I think he goes to school here too. He said, once you know it, that they put two tall guys in the same aisle together, in a situation where we don't have very much leg room. Yeah. So we kind of talked about that. Really the flight out from Lincoln wasn't too bad. Getting down there, the one thing about DFW, if you've never been down there, I mean, it's a very big airport. And it's not the only one because they still fly into Love Field. I don't know if I think Omaha has a flight that goes to DFW, maybe to Love Field. They still utilize that airport. And once I got the car and everything and picked up Jamie from her office that she was working at down there this last week, I mean, we went back to the hotel, got changed, and then went out with some coworkers of hers, had a great supper Friday night, a place called Seven Doors. You ever heard of that? It kind of reminds me of a Cheesecake Factory type place. Very, very nice place. And then we all went back to the hotel and stuff and kind of hung out. Jamie and I went and grabbed some ice cream and everything at Jenny's Ice Cream, which was really, really good. And then we drove back to the hotel, hung out with some people, and then all crashed. And then Saturday morning had a breakfast, and then we drove out to South Fork Ranch. And I talked about this earlier on the morning show today. South Fork, of course, was the famed home of the Ewing family on the nighttime drama Dallas for 13, 14 years. And, and I remember watching it on TV a little bit, not enough to retain it when I was a kid, when it was on primetime, because it was always the Dukes of Hazzard on Friday night, and then Dallas at 8, and then it was, for a while, The Incredible Hulk, and then Falcon Crest. And I didn't get into watching Dallas until I was in college because they brought it back into syndication. And so I started watching in college in between classes, and I got into it, and I became a fan. And then my wife and I watched it again because it was back in syndication. So we followed it. We went down. I'll tell you what, that thing is unbelievable. House is still the same on the outside, pool and everything. What's different is the interior. It's a lot different in reality versus what you see on the show on TV. So there's that. And then, some things are different, but it's worth checking out. It's more of a museum now than a living quarters than anything. Bobby Ewing's famed Mercedes-Benz convertibles there. The big boat that the Lincoln that their dad drove was there. There's JR stuff and all that. There's a bunch of gear. My wife bought it. I Shot JR t-shirt that was in the shop. I got like a South Fork Ranch ball cap that, it looks like you can go golfing with or whatever, but it's worth the tour, and it looks very nice. And they have a reception hall that they call the Oil Barons Ballroom. This building is probably 3/4 of the size of the old Pershing Auditorium. It's a big, big facility. You got one open area there where you can have, I don't know, maybe a concert if you wanted to, or a big reception. Then you got 3 other event center halls there that are they're really big, not as big as the main hall, but they're big. So you got that. There's a sandwich shop there that you can go to. You can take a tour of the grounds and stuff. It's really well kept there. And I think that was one of the highlights of our trip. Then we had her company had a big gathering at a steakhouse down there on Saturday night. So that was kind of the main reason why that I went down there, was for that.
Did you get any barbecue while you were down there?
Did not, no.
See, we're trading places, you and I. I'm heading down to Dallas here at the end of the week, and then making the roadie down to Austin for a bachelor weekend. And if I don't get some barbecue, I'm gonna be upset.
So are you staying in Dallas at all?
So I'm flying into Dallas Thursday morning, and then Thursday midday, me and some buddies are making the roadie from Dallas to Austin, and then coming back up Sunday morning. And I'll be staying in Dallas kind of Sunday afternoon, evening until my flight leaves Sunday night. So
okay,
not that much time in Dallas. No nights in Dallas, but I will have probably.
Well, I was going to say,
14 hours
if
there.
you have a chance to go out to South Fork, it's out by Parker, and it's a pretty neat place. By the way, if you remember seeing the opening credits and closing credits of the show, there's like nothing but farmland as the eye can see. It's not that way now. They're building a neighborhood next to it on the south end.
All been built around.
Yeah, it's going to be South Fork is going to be in the city, which is crazy to think. So they're building a subdivision right next door to the south of the ranch.
Well, development never stops, does it?
No, especially in Dallas. Everything's got to be bigger in Dallas, right?
Well, Moti, we're going to get into Legion brackets here. We've kind of run out of time here, actually.
Well,
we're up against it here with the...
tell you what, opening segment of hour 2. Let's talk about that.
We'll talk some Legion brackets. We also need to talk a little bit of World Cup. We'll put that in somewhere in hour 2.
So, yeah, we'll do that here in hour 2.
And we also have Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. He's going to talk with us some recruiting. Trey Taylor gets his 5th star. Where is Nebraska going to be looking in the next couple months as the season gets kicked off? We'll get into all that and a whole lot more as the Morning Hookup rolls forward. Hour 2 coming your way here in just a few minutes on KFOR.
Nine out of 10 people who suffer cardiac arrest outside the hospital don't survive. Most of the time, it's because no one nearby performs CPR. Every walker who joins HeartWalk means more people trained in CPR, more research, and more life-saving moments for everyone. Take the first step and register for your local HeartWalk. Extraordinary starts with you. Find your local HeartWalk at heartwalk.org.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. At Children International, we know that the journey to end poverty for good begins first with a child. It starts with their first checkup, lesson, opportunity, job. That journey takes commitment from people like you and me to end poverty for good. Learn more at children.org.
Secret time. We were spending money on trade show swag nobody wanted. And the worst part, we knew it. We didn't need more throwaway stuff with our logo on it. So we connected with Amy at Firespring. She helped us think beyond random gimmicks and choose higher quality promo items that fit our budget and our brand. With 15 years of promotional marketing experience, Amy knew what giveaway items would get used and get us noticed. Thanks, Firespring.
That's right. For more than 30 years, Firespring has helped businesses and nonprofits show up strong, from first impressions to getting found online. That means marketing, website, print, and promotional support that builds trust and keeps you top of mind. We know how it goes. Get noticed for the right reasons with Firespring, a brand experience company. Visit firespring.com to learn more or call 402-437-0000 and ask for Amy.
Save big money on your next project when you shop at Menards. Make your home more energy efficient with a new front door from Mastercraft. Building the highest quality doors in a variety of styles and finishes. Shop our wide in-stock selection. Or design your door your way, in-store or online. Save big on Mastercraft doors. Plus, view our weekly flyer on Menards.com to check out all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
If you live in Nebraska and feel like your cost of living is going up, you're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Gas prices have gone up 60% this year alone. Groceries just had the biggest price hike in years, while healthcare is up 20%. These price hikes come to you directly from Congress. The war in Iran is driving up gas prices. Tariffs have made everyday goods more expensive, while cuts from the big beautiful bill have closed rural hospitals and driven up medical costs. Learn more at nebraskagroundswell.org/.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Supreme Court justices are testifying before Congress for the first time since 2019. The reason? They want a larger security budget. Justice Elena Kagan explained why it was needed.
When personal threats increased following the Dobbs leak, we expanded our residential security and threat assessment activities. Similarly, as online attacks grew in number and sophistication, we requested additional cybersecurity resources.
She is joined on Capitol Hill by Justice Amy Coney Barrett. The U.S. military operation in Iran appears to be back on. Another night of strikes carried out by U.S. forces, as President Trump said the U.S. is going to serve as the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz and will be compensated.
I want to be reimbursed because we're protecting a very rich portion of the world. We're spending money. And so what we've done is we are going to be reimbursed for protection. We're protecting by the countries that we're helping.
But international law appears to prohibit any country from collecting a toll. And just last month, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it was not possible. Last month, with the ceasefire in place, inflation cooled in the U.S. The Consumer Price Index showed inflation increased by 3.5%. That's less than expected. Data centers have become controversial building projects. They fuel artificial intelligence, but they use massive amounts of energy, and that could stress local power grids. So as a result, in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul says,
I want to make sure that if they're going to come, those localities will reap substantial benefits.
She announced a one-year moratorium on all large data center construction in the state. The man shot and killed in Maine by ICE agents has been identified as a 26-year-old Colombian national, Johann Sebastian Guerrero. Immigration advocates say he had a Social Security number. He was not the target of the operation. You're listening to ABC News.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
A possible third candidate for governor. Good morning, I'm Jeff Moats. We're at 81 degrees at KFOR. Former State Senator Brett Lindstrom of Omaha is officially jumping into the 2026 Nebraska gubernatorial race as a nonpartisan candidate. However, though, he would need to gather at least 4,000 valid signatures through a petition drive, including 750 from voters in each of the state's 3 congressional districts by August 3rd to get on the November 3rd ballot. Now, Lindstrom, who served in the legislature from 2015 to 2023, would be on the ballot if he does make it. You go up against incumbent Republican Governor Jim Pillen and former Democratic State Senator Lynn Walls of Fremont. In his statement to the Nebraska Examiner, Lindstrom said that he was entering the race because, quote, our state is facing a pivotal moment in terms of how we manage our budget and create opportunities for future generations, and Nebraskans deserve another choice, end quote. Lincoln police are investigating a vandalism reported late Saturday evening at Complete Children's Health at 3262 Salt Creek Road.
The employee reported she arrived at the business to retrieve her vehicle when she noticed several broken windows at the business.
LPD Lieutenant Jason Goodwin tells KFOR News officers located a total of 10 broken windows. Damage estimates are at $15,000. It appears the suspect or suspects threw rocks at the windows, causing the damage. About 70 jobs are open at Lincoln Public Schools in areas ranging from nutrition services, paraeducators, transportation, and custodial. Interview days coming up this afternoon from noon to 4 over at Southwest High School, but LPS Human Resources Specialist Mike Von Cannell tells KFOR News you'll need to complete a pre-event application before walking in for the interview. That can be found at lps.org. You can go to the top right-hand corner where it says careers link.
If you click that careers link, it'll be in the job postings with the classified interview day. So if they go there, they will be able to apply online before the event.
Sunny this afternoon and a high of 91. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alteration. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
New location, same life-saving mission.
Join 1011 Kicks 96.9 and 106.3 KFRX for the Broadcasters Unite for Life Blood Drive, benefiting Nebraska Community Blood Bank.
The drive will take place inside Gateway Mall near the food court, Wednesday, July 15th and Thursday, July 16th from 11 to 7.
When you donate, you'll get Chick-fil-A plus a t-shirt.
For more info and to make an appointment, go to NCB.
Welcome back into hour 2 here. It's the morning hookup on KFOR FM 101.5, 1240 AM, and streaming online at KFORnow.com as we take you through a Tuesday edition of the Average Joe Sports Show.
Morning hookup.
Morning hookup. Put one in the swear jar there for me.
Yeah. How much? $1?
Probably with inflation now, probably a $5 or probably a $5. So the morning hookup though coming your way. We talked to Robin Washit back in hour 1. Brian Munson's coming your way here momentarily to talk a little bit of recruiting. I think we might have a Bill Hook appearance coming your way at the end of hour 2 as well. But first,
and he's out of town today, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
why. We'll have to ask him if he does get with us here at the end of the hour. But Jeff Moats continues on with us as he told us a little bit about his few days away, taking the trip on down to Dallas. But
yeah,
Moatsy, while you were away, it's not officially official just yet. We're still waiting on the official press release here, but we do have the seniors Legion area tournament brackets to tell you about.
Yeah, this is the area tournaments get underway for the seniors coming up on Friday. And you've got, I believe, 7 or 8 area tournaments that you play, okay? And basically, the final 2 teams from each of those area tournaments all qualify for state, but then you play to see who's going to be the area champion, number 1. And the area champion will go to one bracket, and the area runner-up will go to the other bracket. So you got the national division, the American division. National division is out at Kearney, and the American division is up at Elkhorn North this year. And that will get underway next week. That'll be the 25th through the 29th. So that's what we got going on. But the Area 5 bracket consists of 6 Lincoln area teams, and that would include, you got Southwest, Southeast, North Star, Pius, Northwest, and Northeast. Lincoln High does not have a Legion team this summer. And then the other 2, Carpetland, which is Lincoln East, and Lincoln Hotel Group, which is Lincoln Standing Bear, they're going to be playing in the Area 6 tournament up in Fremont. And because of the spillover that you have now with the addition of Northwest and Standing Bear with their Legion teams, they have to split those up. So those 2, the East and Standing Bear, go up to Fremont, and then the others are still here in town. So here's what the bracket looks like for the Area 5 tournament here in town. That'll begin Friday, and they'll play these games over at Den Hartog. The juniors will play over at the Sandhills Complex the same dates. So Pinnacle Bank, which is Southwest, will play Judge Brothers of Northeast at 1 on Friday afternoon. The 4 o'clock game will be Anderson Ford of Lincoln North Star against Union Bank of Pius X. And then the 7 o'clock game on Friday night will be J.C. Bragger of Lincoln Southeast against Sagewell Ortho of Lincoln Northwest. The winner of Game 1 will play at 4 on Saturday against the loser of Game 3. And the loser of Game 1 here, and bear with me here as I look at my brackets. I don't have enough room here on my screen here really quick. Loser of Game 1 will play Saturday an elimination game at 1 against the loser of Game 2. So the Game 2 game will be the 7 o'clock game. Game 3 is the 4 o'clock game, but that's how they have it all set up. It's kind of weird and discombobulated that way. But So they'll play games on Saturday, and then they'll have elimination bracket. Then you got the winners bracket final Sunday at 7. Sunday at 7. Day 4, which would be Monday, they'll play at 6. That's an elimination game. And then the championship round would be at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. And a second game would follow if necessary, if the team that keeps winning gets beat in that first game on Tuesday. And then they'll play 30 minutes after that and then ultimately determine the champion of the Area 5 tournament. So that's how they're going to do it. But we'll see. But there will be at least 2 teams from Lincoln that'll go from this tournament in particular. Could have the potential of seeing other Lincoln teams like East or Standing Bear that could reach in Area 6. I think the favorite in Area 6 right now, hands down, is going to be East High, just because they've had a solid summer of baseball. Some people have indicated, remember when they made it to the national championship game and got beat 1-0 in the Legion tournament and finished national runner-up, that there's talk that this year's team, this summer team that they have this year, is probably just as good, if not better than those guys, which is hard to believe because there was so much talent on that team in 2023 that won it all.
Oh, yeah. And quickly, if you take us through, once area tournaments kind of reach their conclusion, how does the state tournament work? How does a potential World Series work? Can you just take us through generally how the postseason works? Because it is a little different, the Legion compared to the spring season.
There's double elimination. You got 2 brackets. The 2 brackets would be, again, the national division that you would play. That's going to be out at Kearney. And then the American division will be up at Elkhorn North. So, and I don't remember how it's going to go. I think like the champion may go west, runner-up may go north and east. However, they're going to configure it. So let's just say that's the case. So that's how they'll do it. And what will happen is if one of those teams keeps winning, and they get to the final and of their division, they win that, they'll play for the state championship at an unspecified location. At this point, it's usually someplace neutral. They'll play the state championship. And then the final 2 teams left in the Class A Legion tournament that are playing for the state championship, both will qualify for the regional. And the regional in recent years has been held up in Rapid City. It's been up in Fargo, Bismarck. I think it's still in Rapid City. We have not hosted it here in Lincoln, I don't think, in a long time. I think they've had it in Omaha and over in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I know one year Southwest was over there in Cedar Rapids and played in a regional there. So it kind of rotates, but for a long time it's been up in the Dakotas. So that's the region where the Lincoln or the Nebraska teams would be playing in. You're playing up against like South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa in that regional. So that's that area.
And then World Series would be off in Shelby, North Carolina. If you were to make it that far.
And former colleague of ours, Dick Janda, for a couple of summers, he did some web streaming of games where he went out and covered them out in Shelby. He drove out. He got in his car, drove out.
You made the roadie. Wow.
Him and his wife hopped in the car and they drove out, and he did it. And he said it's quite a spectacle. And I know Bill Hooks is very familiar with that area since he grew up in the Charlotte area and been to Shelby and played baseball there.
It's a 16-hour drive.
It is a 16. Yeah.
Wow.
But in essence, I remember Dick saying one time that it is unique because you got people that sit on rocking chairs up there by the press box and stuff. It's very down home and friendly for a lot of folks. And that's the heart and soul of Legion baseball is right there in Shelby. So it's a fun time. Last time we saw a Nebraska team there, I think was again when East was there 3 years ago. And does this year's East team have that run in them? We'll see.
We'll see. And so again, it's area tournaments, Class A coming up this weekend. I know Class B happens a little later. I think it's the following weekend.
Well, no, because I think state for a lot of teams gets going. We're at that point now where we got to get things wrapped up Now, yeah, the B and C classes, they don't send anybody to a regional.
Oh, yeah.
They just play a state championship. It's Class A that sends the representation to the regionals for the state of Nebraska. So you may be right. I haven't checked that far ahead yet with those schedules, but yeah, essentially what would happen is that you'd have the state tournament for those teams that make those brackets, and then you just determine the state champion and your season's done. Now you get ready for football. A quick turnaround, to say the least.
Super quick turnaround. It's unreal, especially if you do make a deep run. It goes state tournament and then potential regional, potential World Series. And if you're playing in the World Series, and that's kind of overlapping with the time that high school fall camp is starting up for football.
I remember when East won, got all the way to the national championship game in that Legion tournament. Fall practice started for football, and there were a lot of those guys that were playing baseball, and they didn't get a start on football right away. So, and I think East had a pretty respectable team that year in 2023 on the football field. But, yeah, so it does kind of interfere with what you may be doing in the fall.
Well, and let it be known, those high school athletes that are playing Legion baseball, the summer Legion schedule it's boom, 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 boom,
It's
boom.
rigorous.
It's rigorous through June and through the first half of July. You step back a little bit, but the pressure ramps up with area tournaments and state tournaments, and then to flip around and go right back into fall camp for football for those athletes.
And go to school.
Yeah, major hat tip to those guys, because a deep run through the Legion, if you go into regionals or through the World Series, I mean, it essentially takes away summer vacation for those kids. You have to give the hat tip to them with the dedication that they're showing at this time.
Right. And yeah, because once the spring season ends with the state tournament, a lot of teams are flipping the schedules over to Legion, which starts usually Memorial Day weekend, and you're off and running, and you're playing in league tournament or league games. Plus you may have some in-season tournaments that you may travel to, wood bat tournaments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a hectic schedule. It's not for a lot of kids. I know there are some kids that don't play during the summer and because they may specialize in another sport. So if you're a basketball player and very good at baseball, you're probably working more so on basketball versus the baseball, or vice versa. Football, you may have to go to a couple of football camps, and so forth, and take time away from baseball, or you don't, and you're full bore baseball, and then you get at it when you get into fall camp for football, and you go out there and go hit some guys, and get back to it. So it's a bit of a challenge, but a lot of guys have done it for years where, if they play multiple sports, they're able to do it, manage it somehow, but you're playing a lot more games than you ever have. That might be a little bit more difficult to do in this day and age.
So Jeff Moats, the Almanac, with us here, hanging out with us on a Tuesday. We'll see if we get another appearance from Jeff Moats on Friday. We shall see, but
you know what? We will, if we do have something for Friday. If not, it'd be Thursday. That we'll talk more about this tournament. We should get all the brackets. We'll try to get the Area 6 pairings too, because that does include East and Standing Bear, and hopefully we get those finalized here before then.
So Jeff Moats with us. Moats, appreciate your time here on a Tuesday morning. We'll let you get back over to the KFOR newsroom.
You bet.
Appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your morning.
You bet.
There's Jeff Moats with us on the Morning Hookup. We're going to step aside, and when we return, we'll dial up Brian Munson. We'll talk some recruiting here as Trey Taylor has gotten his fifth star. What does the next couple of weeks and months look like for Husker football recruiting? We'll get into all that and a whole lot more when we return on the Morning Hookup.
Here's what Lincoln is talking about today.
President Trump has told Congress that military action has resumed in Iran after a third night of strikes. Lawmakers are saying the man shot and killed by ICE in Maine was not the target of the warrant. Nebraska is gearing up for rising temperatures with a heat index hitting over 100 over the weekend.
Stay connected for updates all day.
News that affects you. On air and on demand 24/7 at KFORnow.com.
Beneath Nebraska skies, the day opens up around you, and that's the beauty of it. Jump feet first into a wonder-filled getaway, or settle into a self-care weekend that moves at the speed of a hammock. Fast or slow, planned or spontaneous, these are the places where unforgettable days find you naturally. Open yourself up to the perfect adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Donors choose. Support a classroom.
Build a future.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? Let's do the math. That comes out to over $1.2 billion a year. And that's just not right. At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Here's what you can do. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, history, and more. Once the request is funded, we'll take care of shipping everything directly to the teacher. It's that easy. You'll receive thank you letters and photos from students and teachers and a report of how every dollar was spent. Teachers' needs have never been greater. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors choose. Support a classroom.
Build a future.
Before I was adopted, I felt like nobody wanted me. I felt like my life was already over.
At a certain age, they don't want you. You're troubled and stuff. Even if I wanted to be adopted, who would adopt a 17-year-old?
Inside, I knew, I'm not a troubled kid. I know what I'm in for, why I'm here.
My biggest fear was that I would age out and not know how to be sufficient on my own.
I had nightmares every single day at my birth mom's house. It was just really scary for me living there.
I was scared, I was lost, and I felt hopeless.
I felt like, don't I deserve to feel happy and loved?
I just wish I'd gotten adopted sooner.
Unfortunately, the number of children waiting to be adopted from foster care is on the rise. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is the only public nonprofit charity in the U.S. focused exclusively on foster care adoption. You can help. Go to davethomasfoundation.org to learn more.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay, are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor, and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
Giving you your first opportunity to
Welcome back into the morning hookup, rocking and rolling with you here on a Tuesday. It's Elijah Herbal with you in the studios of KFOR. Excited, though, to welcome Brian Munson to the show. We got plenty to get into with recruiting, as Trey Taylor's gotten his 5th star. What does the next few weeks and months look like for Husker football? But, Brian, it's good to hear from you here on a Tuesday. How are you doing?
I am doing great, man. I hear that you are headed my way, possibly. Is that? And you were coming here, and I'm literally leaving on Wednesday. I will be Smoky Mountain bound on Wednesday evening, headed to Tennessee. But it sounds like you want to deal with the temperatures here. That's fine, man. I'm giving up on them.
Yeah, it's actually we're trading places, so we're gonna have to miss that beer together. But Thursday morning, I'm getting in. I believe around 8:45 a.m. to Dallas Fort Worth, flying in. I got a bachelor party, or bachelor trip, I think is the better way to put it, in Austin, Texas. So flying into Dallas later in the day on Thursday, making my way down to Austin for Friday and Saturday, and Sunday coming back up, which means I'm gonna have, I think, 4 or 5 hours to kill Thursday morning in Dallas. I'm going to have like 7 or 8 hours to kill in Dallas Sunday afternoon and evening before my flight leaves. So I was wondering what are some good places to go out and check out in Dallas, whether it's barbecue, whether it's a bar, coffee shop, restaurant. I also need a place to watch the World Cup final on Sunday afternoon. So I was going to go to the expert in Brian Munson and see what I should be doing. So are you going to be in Dallas on Sunday? In Dallas most of the afternoon. Yeah, we're making our way back up Sunday when you're watching the World Cup. Yeah, and then I'm going to be back into Austin before the World Cup gets kicked off at 2:00 on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So going to watch that, and then I have another 5 hours to kill after that before I make my way to the airport. I think my flight leaves at like 9:45 or 10. First thing on World Cup, I would just head down to 6th Street and look for and 6th Street's changed so much since I had been there last. I mean, we've kind of walked it before going down there actually last August. For the Texas State home opener, but it's changed so much. I would just try to find a place that's just going to have a ton of people and have a blast. But that's at least what I would do there. But my suggestion would be obviously that you need to try some Texas barbecue. If you've never done that before, there is a place here. And there's actually, it's in Austin too. I would find a way to get to either here or there. Go to Terry Black's Barbecue. Yep, I've heard good things. It is. Yeah, and then if you get out and you're out about, like you want to, maybe you're up in like the Richardson area of Dallas, there's another place called 1050, which is one of our personal faves because Terry Black's is not really convenient for us to kind of get to all the time. But Terry Black's is by far and away, hands down, what I would say, is kind of the favorite around here. There's another little local place near where I'm at, which is kind of cool. Like when it sells out, it sells out, but it doesn't have like a sit down thing. You got to go and just go pick it up and take it home with you. So, but yeah, I would tell you to go to Terry Black's for sure. Terry Black's easy enough. I can make that happen. And then Austin wise, do I need to go see any of the Texas campus? Anything worth seeing there, or do I just avoid that entirely given the history of Nebraska and Texas? I think the Capitol is actually pretty cool. I would highly recommend getting over to it to check it out. It's actually got some really nice places that you can kind of go in and visit really quickly. If you're into walking around a little bit, there are some there's Capitol Street that's got a bridge. You may have a chance to check out some of the bats that are down there in the Austin area. That is a very real deal. They hang out underneath the bridges around the river down there. So I just tell you to kind of get out and explore. There's a lot of kind of cool stuff. There's some different things there. The saying in Austin says, "Keep Austin weird," and it certainly is. It's a little different. So just kind of go down there with your eyes open, buddy. So Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, let's switch gears here, talk a little bit of recruiting. I know one of the other services yesterday gave Trey Taylor their 5th star. Trey Taylor with On3, a 5-star already. And I believe the number 2 quarterback in the country. Obviously comes in the back of a great Elite 11 performance. But Trey Taylor getting his flowers, and I think the rest of the country kind of coming around to what Nebraska's seen for a long time now with Trey. Well, and I think that's the missing part, right? Is that Nebraska has seen this potential in Trey Taylor for a very long time. I mean, he's been a commitment, I want to say since April, was it May 1st last year? I think it was May 1st last year. I think he even committed to Nebraska a month ahead of, or 6 weeks ahead of when he originally had planned to do it. It was May 1st of 2025. Okay, so my memory does serve me correctly, but I think the other part of that is, though, too, is once they had really gotten a chance to get him on campus, and where kind of things were at already, with him, how many times he had visited Michigan, where things were at, with Texas A&M, with LSU, with home state school Illinois, South Carolina was definitely in the picture as well. Nebraska really zeroed in on him. And that was really their top guy from kind of there on out. And it's easy to tell and understand why, obviously. I mean, he's a very mature individual. He didn't have this monster sophomore cycle. He didn't have these Tecmo Bowl numbers like some might expect. And in fact, I think that, there's even some comments out there of his coach that was maybe even a little bit critical of him, just saying he's trying to do too much. He's not playing within the system and yada, yada. And Trey went to work.
big time and tirelessly perfecting his craft. Had a breakout junior season, statistically, better record, for his high school. And then obviously, like what you had said recently is, he was really voted the first, like the Elite 11, kind of recognized as the MVP for that, but then really went and closed the deal out at the opening, a few weeks later, which was great that he had an opportunity to do that since it was during the dead period. First Elite 11 MVP, for a Nebraska commitment. Quite a long line of other players that have done it, from Stafford to Stroud to Caleb Williams. There's definitely a distinguished list of other quarterbacks that have won that award. So it's pretty prestigious. And, obviously Nebraska fans, they're going to have him run underneath their noses next year at Millard South. So getting a chance to go out there and watch him play next year is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously Tay Ellis out there, but I think the great thing about like what Tay has done is he's just become this incredible ambassador, I think, for Nebraska. The way that it's kind of linked up and been married between he and like Matt Rule and his staff, and how he's like an extension of the coaching staff and just that ambassador role. It's really been fascinating to watch. I mean, as many times we have said, like, no, he's an unofficial recruiting coordinator for Nebraska, like with other recruits before in the past. Everything pales in comparison to what Trey Taylor has done for this staff while he has been a commitment for Nebraska.
And for the Husker fans that are planning on making the trip up or making the trip across town to go see a Millard South football game this year, what improvements do you think Trey wants to make to his own game? What improvements do you think maybe the Husker coaching staff wants to see to Trey's game in his senior season?
I think that what you're going to want to see, because I mean, obviously it's a change in offense, it's a change in settings, a change in competition. He's going to have to make adjustments, and not only is he going to make adjustments, but I think that that's going to lead into decision making. And I think that through all the things, he could go out there and throw for 50 touchdowns, and people might pick on competition, for example. But I think that when you really go back and you identify something about Trey's statistics, and maybe, when you look at him at face value and you watch him on film or watch him from the stands, I think he should be looking at completion percentage. I think he should be looking at, decision-making that directly, goes along with turnovers, in particular interceptions. I think that those are the parts there that really, you should really be focusing on, because, I mean, he's making this late change. He's going into a new place, playing with new players. They're going to have a very talented roster, obviously, again. But I think the big thing is obviously is just kind of rolling with what he has been given, using what he has in his bag, to kind of use, and not going out there and trying to do anything Superman related, and trying to just kind of play within the scope of the offense, the scope of the game plan. And that's really going to show up, I think, at the end of the day, in his completion percentage and his turnovers.
Yeah. And whenever you talk about the turnovers, was it a 38-3 touchdown to turnover ratio last year?
That is a great question. In fact, I think I know it's somewhere around there. I looked it up before this interview. It's somewhere in that 35-40, and I'm almost sure the interception number was 3 last year. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, and I think it's why I also say it, and it was one of the things I think that several people were very impressed with when it came to his Elite 11 performance, was his decision making. I think that they already felt like he was already making strong decisions. I think that you're looking for that to kind of happen again in a different setting with different players, and it's something obviously that he's going to experience again as he just enrolls in Nebraska in December. Like, be able to roll over to some bowl game practices and whatever, and then be there for the spring semester. So I think the decision making is just going to keep showing that mature side, I think, of Trey. I think Trey has been prepared both physically, I think both technically, but I think also mentally. I think he's mentally tough. I think he's gotten that right coaching, to kind of go along with it, the sports psychology side of it. And I think that that's what you're going to need to have when it comes to like walking into like the ultimate fishbowl for, that quarterback position, which that's what it is at Nebraska. That's what he should be anticipating.
Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, as we look ahead to what the next weeks and months are going to be, obviously class retention is going to be huge for this Nebraska team. You have a high-level quarterback with Taylor. You have a high-level defensive back with Pittman, a high-level wide receiver with Taylor, a high-level offensive lineman with Agbanoma. I mean, you've kind of hit the major spots. Running back might be the spot where Amir Brown, though he doesn't have the recruiting acumen, the Husker team likes what they have there with Brown. I guess it feels like a class that maybe not complete, but you've hit most of the main boxes that you want to hit going into the recruiting class. What are you looking for with this recruiting class as you look ahead into August and into football season, where there's going to be some guys, maybe some potential flip targets making their way to Lincoln?
Yeah, I think obviously the one guy that everybody wants to hear about is Amos Hudson, the number 1 tight end in the country, the LSU commitment from Ruston, Louisiana. Number 52 in the country based on the updated rankings yesterday from Rivals. 4-star guy, dual sport guy, being recruited not only by Nebraska to play football, but also for basketball. And last I heard, Fred Hoiberg and his staff were going to be out in Las Vegas, and they were going to see Hudson up close. I think that was this past weekend. So I think it's a tremendous thing that Nebraska is showing that interest on the basketball side. It is a bigger part of that decision for Hudson, I think, than some of us give credit to. So I think that's the part to kind of remember there. As for like players outside of Hudson, it's there's not a lot. There's not a lot of board left. I think that maybe you start talking about maybe there's a need for another running back. I think it depends on what happens, like with Mekhi Nelson. I think that the other side of it is potentially, you've got some spots on defense that could maybe potentially use some help, like another edge. I think another edge pass rusher could make some sense to this class to kind of go out there and try to find a guy late in the process if they can do that. Otherwise, I think like as you start to like take your attention and look at like what you need to do like in the portal, I think running back is a standout. I mean, if they decide to not go out and get a second guy, I think that and Mekhi Nelson is still got that doubt that he's going to be part of the program. I think you have to go out and get a portal guy now, because I think Nebraska is probably wondering where things would be if they had that portal guy already in the room based on this situation that they're currently in. So I think running back, I think they're always looking for maybe another guy that can be an immediate impact guy at wide receiver, although I think Khalil Taylor is a guy that Nebraska fans should count on seeing very early in his career in Lincoln. I think he's just that ready to do it. And then I think maybe linebacker in general, maybe a little bit more defensive line help. But all in all, I think the class is what the class is going to be, unless there's another edge guy, Hudson decides to flip, and maybe another running back, outside chance on the running back.
So with that in mind, I know Nebraska has, as it stands right now, a top 25 class in the nation with this class of 2027. And if there's not many more additions, that means if Nebraska is going to move up or down, it would likely come with recruiting class ranking adjustments for guys. We just talked about Taylor to lead off this interview with him moving up. Are there any other candidates that you think could be guys that as their senior season progresses, they could be moving up the recruiting rankings?
It's tough. I mean, I wrote the article last night where I kind of took a look at, Rivals rankings since last October. And there's been three rankings, updates to the rankings basically during that time. You had October and April, and then you had yesterday. And there's not been a lot of movement. It's my kind of summary was like, look, you had the biggest bump that Nebraska got yesterday was that Trey Taylor moved from 71 to 17 and got 5 stars. You had a couple players stay put. A few players moved down just a spot. I think the biggest loser, the one that moved down the most, might have been even like Khalil Taylor, which is kind of ironic. But all in all, it didn't mean that Nebraska gained any positions in the team rankings at all. They remained at 18 before and after the rankings were released. So, if there's not a class in front of them that happens to lose a bunch of guys, or they don't get Ahmad Hudson, to join the class, I think it's kind of, what you see is what you're going to get. I think it's going to be, right inside the top 20, which is a very good class, number one. And I think it's got some guys that are immediate contributors to some guys that are, like a Justin Lindsay that has a lot of potential to develop into a guy, but isn't a Khalil Taylor, right? He's not that guy. So yeah, I think kind of where you're sitting at right now is about where this class is going to end up, unless you have either Nebraska loses a guy or can gain a guy like Ahmad Hudson.
Brian Munson with us here. And Brian, as we switch gears here from recruiting, I do want to ask you with this team itself in 2026, you mentioned a little bit the running back position. I want to kind of zoom out from just that and kind of give you an open-ended question. I asked Robin Washington about this in hour one because we started talking about the top 25 wins drought for Nebraska. It's been since Oregon in 2016 that they got a top 25 win. What is your first off biggest reason of confidence that Nebraska can end that drought here in 2026 and get a win against the top 25 team? But then to flip it around, what's your biggest reason for doubt that they're going to be able to break that top 25 drought here in 2026?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a talented group. I think Nebraska has finally shored up what I felt like needed to happen basically since Matt Rule came to Lincoln, and that was you're gonna have to win in the Big Ten with the guys that you place on the offensive line. You've got to be dominant up front. I think this is the best offensive line that Nebraska is gonna has had there in Lincoln now in some time. I think it's a talented group. I think individually, I hope the cohesiveness is there. I think Coach Wade has been, putting that together, building the chemistry. I think that they have made the right moves in the right places. I think they went out and addressed things with portal. So I'm gonna say that I think that the reason why I'm optimistic about this season this fall is because I think they finally went out and addressed one of the sorest spots on their offense, which was their offensive line. And it's not a shot at any of those guys. I mean, a lot of those guys they played hurt, they were injury prone, and they just couldn't kind of keep it all together. And that's kind of where I would say, things are at with that. But I mean, on the other side of okay, why won't they hit that mark? Why are they 6-6 or 5-7, next year? I think you've got a lot of things that are in motion. I think you've got this change of your quarterback style, with from Calandria to, from Raiola to Calandria. I think you got a little bit more mobility there. I think that there's going to be some times where he's going to press some things that he's been able to get away with before in the past, and he's not going to be able to get away with it in Lincoln. That's a possibility. I think that also the questions are there about the running backs room. I mean, I felt like, you had talent in that room at the end of last season, but I just didn't feel like you had even a potential guy to have a breakout season like an Emmett Johnson did this, in 2025. I just didn't feel like that guy was there. So I think that that's another thing that kind of hangs in the back of my head. But then I think on the defensive side of the football, you're bringing a lot of things together very late when it comes to the defensive scheme, what Ulrich is trying to accomplish, with his guys. He inherits part of a roster. He brought in a lot of transfer guys trying to mix a stew together, basically in 8 months. That's tough. And you're looking for, like I said, you're looking for that chemistry. You're looking for guys that know what they can expect on the field with one another. You're just kind of questioning all that time and making sure that you can kind of get all those things done. And you sure hope that you can stay healthy, because there's obviously that thing that hangs over their head. They've got a grueling schedule. And that part there, they've always been one injury away at really critical spots. And it just happened when it did, when that shoe fell, the other one fell right behind it. And it was just kind of agonizing to see a team that couldn't catch any breaks. So staying healthy, kind of bringing the stew together on both sides, and that running back room might be why you potentially have a possibility of some underachieving this fall.
Well, Brian, let me lay out a scenario for you, and this will be our last stop before we get you out. Really appreciate your time, but let me lay out a scenario for you where Nebraska finishes the season at 6-6. They drop some games that you'd prefer that they didn't. Let's say they lose on Black Friday against Iowa. They lose week 5 against Maryland. You get a Malik Washington performance that sinks Nebraska. They can't get it done on a Friday night against Illinois. So there's some disappointing losses in there. But Nebraska gets over the hump. They get that top 25 win. They make a bowl game at 6-6. The Husker fans accept that. Are they happy with that?
I don't think so. I think that when you build a house from the bottom up, and you place a brick on top of the next brick, and that first brick to me is always winning the games that on your schedule you're supposed to win. And if you feel like you're supposed to win that game at Iowa this year, you're supposed to win that game against Illinois this year. If you start out 5-0 and you end up going 6-6, I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit disappointed about how those last 8 games or 7 games are, or how they go, how they fare from there. I think there's definitely something to kind of be excited about, particularly if it's an Oregon squad or an Ohio State squad that happens to be, or an Indiana squad they happen to beat that's a top 25 team. But I think then that you just have to like that side of just kind of questioning consistency and staying, kind of within the game plan and making sure that you are still winning all the games that you should be winning, and saying you take a step forward and you take two steps back when you like lose to an Iowa or you lose to a Maryland on the road. I think that's going to be tough for some folks to kind of handle.
So Brian Munson with us here. Love that answer, Brian, about building it from the ground up. That's very well said. It's really appreciate your time here, though, this morning. Is some extended time with us here as we gear up for football season. Brian, appreciate the suggestions down in Dallas. I'll let you know what I think of your hometown, and we'll get caught up again next week. Appreciate your time here.
Don't worry about bringing jeans or sweatshirts down here, man. Just bring those shorts and T-shirts.
I wasn't planning on it. I heard it's going to be freaking hot.
Travel safe.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. There he goes. Brian Munson with us here, Husker Online, talking some recruiting on the Morning Hookup. We're almost done with this show. How about that? Elijah Herbal was hanging out with you mostly solo. It's been Elijah and friends as Jeff Motes has hung out with us. Robin Washut sat down with us back in hour 1, and Brian Munson here with us just now. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll wrap up the show. We'll talk some World Cup. Spain v. France coming away a little bit later this afternoon. A World Cup semifinal, a chance to play in the World Cup final on the line. We'll preview that game, and we'll wrap up the show after this on the Morning Hookup.
Hey, it's Chris Schmidt. Find us with the Average Joe Sports Show. Talking Big Red and beyond. Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 on KFOR. And can stream KFORnow.com.
Hi, this is Matt Berkey, co-owner of Golden Rule Contractors. We've been installing roofs all over southeast Nebraska for 30 years and counting. We've built lasting relationships with our customers in York, David City, Seward, Lincoln, and Beatrice, just to name a few. If you've experienced storm damage or are looking for a roofing company you can trust, contact us at goldenrulecontractors.com or give us a call at 402-641-2214. We'll treat your home as if it were our own.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. An elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mom, Dad.
Before you throw out those unused medicines, just think for a minute.
Grandma, Grandpa, all you guys take meds. That's why you gotta dispose of your old pills correctly.
Those pills for your back pain or migraines.
When you throw them in the trash, those medicines can become lethal in the wrong hands. Our hands. You may be finished with that medicine,
But those pills are making me real popular at school.
my brother James could think they're candy. Our dog loves to get in the garbage, and those meds can make him sick or worse. So stop. There are better ways to dispose of your unused meds.
There are lots of police stations, local pharmacies, and hospitals that are approved to take in unused meds and dispose of them safely.
Disposal sites are close by.
It's easy, and it's the right thing to do. For us. The ones you love.
To find a medicine disposal site near you, visit www.safe.pharmacy. A public service message from the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy.
Back at it Wednesday with KFOR, Schmidt, Carol, and Jeff.
The state of the Strait of Hormuz, inflation numbers are out. More on the immigration shooting in Maine, and a family fun pack to the Lancaster County Super Fair with Brainbuster.
Talk at 6 can stream KFORnow.com.
One final time here with the morning hookup, rocking and rolling with you here on a Tuesday. Shout out to those hanging out with us here in the stream. FloodX10 hanging out. We had Shane hanging out. Corn Raider as well, saying DFW sucks. No fast way to get from one end to the other end. The slowest train in any airport as well. We shall see about that. I'm making my way down to Dallas on Thursday morning, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to celebrating Brock as he's getting married here in a few weeks. So looking forward to that. Corn Raider also says enough time to take a tour of America's Stadium. I think I will avoid Jerry World if at all possible. I'm a Broncos guy through and through. I will say though, I did tour Arrowhead Stadium a couple years ago. I had a friend who worked in their video department, and as a diehard Broncos fan, I was expecting to not enjoy the behind-the-scenes tour of Arrowhead. This was actually the week after, if you remember, the Bengals went into Arrowhead in the AFC title game and upset the Chiefs. The following weekend, Pro Bowl weekend, whenever there's nothing really going on, and the photographers room at Arrowhead Stadium where all the photographers can get together and kind of work on their photos during the game, after the game and whatnot, get them edited up and ready to go. It was still, which is that room is right above the visiting locker room, which is kind of underground. That room still smelled like cigar smoke. It had permeated up through the Bengals locker room into that room. So that was really cool to see. Got to go hang out, talk on the PA announcement system, go see all the locker rooms, got to go stand at the press conference room, got to act like I was Andy Reid for a day. So I will say I enjoyed that stadium more than I thought I would. I'm not sure I'll make the trip out to Dallas to go see Jerry World, but we shall see. I guess that's Arlington. Arlington, though, has been a host site for the World Cup this summer, and we have a huge one coming this afternoon. France and Spain battling it out. France, the number 1 ranked team in the FIFA rankings. Spain, the number 2 ranked team in the FIFA rankings. This was a game that if it was the World Cup final this year, I don't think anyone would be upset about it. Instead, we get it in the semifinals, and it should be fireworks. France has the best attacking front line of anyone in this World Cup. They have Kylian Mbappe, still tied now for the Golden Boot race. 8 goals in this World Cup. They have Michael Olise, who has been fantastic. His link-up play with Kylian Mbappe, he's put him in on goal multiple times. They have Ousmane Dembele, who's one of the best footballers in the world, but they're going up against a Spanish back line that has only allowed one World Cup goal so far in this tournament. So kind of unstoppable force versus immovable object, that France attacking line against Spain's defending line. And then you also have one of the most exciting young players in the world playing for Spain as well, with Lamine Yamal. This is a game where I think France should probably be lightly favored if I had to guess right now, but there is no chance that I would bet against this Spanish team. Their midfield is absolutely spectacular. Rodri, the longtime man from Man City, is going to be pulling the strings in the midfield. That's going to be the key for me for Spain here, is what type of ball possession, what type of control can they have on this game. If you let France go and control the game like they did against Sweden, it could be a France 3-0 game here. But if Spain is able to control the ball in the midfield, if they're able to kind of exert their will and play the game in their style, which is, hey, they're going to go heavy possession. If Spain wins this game, they're going to want to have north of 60% possession of the ball. If they can pull that off and make France really be clinical with their chances, they give themselves a chance. And Spain, they're good enough in the midfield. They're good enough with the ball at their feet to be able to go and do that. So we shall see. Your guess is as good as mine with this game. It's a France team that is well drilled against a Spanish team that is comfortable with the ball. They're going to want to ping the ball all around the yard, keep the ball away from France. Regardless, it's going to be a game that's going to be must-see television. Hey, tomorrow should be really good with Argentina and England as well. It's something we talked about yesterday. These are the matchups that, based on how the teams have been playing through the first few weeks of the World Cup, you circled these 4 teams as being teams that had the best chance to go and win it all. You get all 4 of them now in the semifinals. If it's France versus England, I'm not surprised. If it's France versus Argentina, I'm not surprised. If it's Spain versus Argentina, I'm not surprised. If it's Spain against England, I'm not surprised. No combination of winners and losers here in these next 2 games would surprise me. We'll see what happens today at 2, and we'll talk about it all on the Morning Hookup. Coming away from 9 to 11 tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me today.